Good day! Welcome to English class. I am teacher Arnel, always ready to learn and to give you learning. Today we will discuss about synthesis. What is synthesis? Synthesis refers to reporting the literature in a way that compares, makes contrasts, and critically analyzes what is found in the existing body of literature in any given field, or and must often across fields. For instance, a literature review must present an organized, objective analysis of the current literature related to your field of study and research topic. This means that literature review, or aka the synthesis of sources, needs to be free from your opinion, personal experience, embellishment, and so forth. However, that doesn't mean you don't have a critical role to play on the page. As the author of the literature review, you are first a detective. A detective have to identify a research problem, drawing key ideas from literature about the problem and connecting those ideas into a logical narrative. Second, to be an analyst. To be an analyst, you have to build your case about connections between key ideas and persuading readers with your logical narrative. And third one, you have to be a narrator. To be a narrator, you have to see relationship between sources and fitting pieces of arguments together to reveal the whole state of knowledge on this topic in your field. But you have to avoid forcing a relationship if one is not apparent. Be willing to drop a source if it does not play a logical role in the story. And lastly, find relationships that are not only interesting but also relevant to your studies focus or thesis. Now, how to synthesize written information from multiple sources. When you write a literature review or essay, you have to go beyond just summarizing the articles you've read. You need to synthesize the literature to show how it all fits together and how your own research fits in. Synthesizing simply means combining instead of summarizing the main points of each source in turn. You put together the ideas and findings of multiple sources in order to make an overall point. At the most basic level, this involves looking for similarities and differences between your sources. Your synthesis should show the reader where the sources overlap and where they diverge. Here is an example of unsynthesized information. France in 2008 studied undergraduate online students. He looked at 17 females and 18 females and found that none of them liked APA. According to France, the evidence suggested that all students are reluctant to learn citation style. Paris in 2010 also studies undergraduate students. She looked at 42 females and 50 males and found that males were significantly more inclined to use citation software. Findings suggest that females might graduate sooner. In the study of Goldens in 2012, look at British undergraduates among a sample of 50, all females, all confident in their abilities to cite and were eager to write their dissertations. On the other hand, synthesized example. Studies of undergraduate students reveal conflicting conclusions regarding relationships between advanced scholarly study and citation efficacy. Although France in 2008 found that no participants enjoyed learning citation style. According to Golden's in 2012, determined in a large study that all participants watched felt comfortable citing sources, suggesting that variables among participant and control group populations must be examined more closely. Although Paris in 2010 expanded on France's original study with a larger, more diverse sample. Now, there are 4 steps to synthesize information from different sources. First, you have to organize your sources. Second is outline your structure. Third one is write paragraphs with topic sentences. And the last one is revise, edit, and proofread. Step 1. Organize your sources. After collecting the relevant literature, you've got a lot of information to work through and no clear idea of how it all fits together. Before you can start writing, you need to organize your notes in a way that allows you to see the relationships between sources. One way to begin synthesizing the literature is to put your notes into a table, depending on your topic and the type of literature you're dealing with. There are a couple of different ways you can organize this. First is summary table. Summary table collates the key points of each source under consistent headings. This is a good approach if your sources tend to have a similar structure. For instance, if they're all empirical papers. The second is synthesis matrix. A synthesis matrix is useful when your sources are more varied in their purpose and structure. For example, when you're dealing with books and essays making various different arguments about a topic. Step number 2. Outline your structure. Now you should have a clear overview of the main connections and differences between the sources you've read. Next, you need to decide how you'll group them together and the order in which you'll discuss them. For shorter papers, your outline can just identify the focus of each paragraph. For longer papers, you might want to divide it into sections with headings. There are a few different approaches you can take to help your structure your synthesis. First, if your sources cover a brand time period, you found patterns in how researchers approached the topic over time. You can organize your discussion chronologically. That doesn't mean you just summarize each paper in chronological order. Instead, you should group articles into time periods and identify what they have in common, as well as signaling important turning points or developments in the literature. If the literature covers various different topics, you can organize it thematically. That means that each paragraph or section focuses on a specific theme and explains how that theme is approached in the literature. Now, see the features below. If you're drawing on literature from various different fields or use a wide variety of research methods, you can organize your sources methodologically. That means grouping together studies based on the type of research They did, and discussing the findings that emerged from each method. If your topic involves a debate between different schools of thought, you can organize it theoretically. That means comparing the different theories that have been developed and grouping together papers based on the position or perspective they take on the topic, as well as evaluating which arguments are most convincing. Step 3. Write paragraphs with topic sentences. What sets a synthesis apart from a summary is that it combines various sources. The easiest way to think about this is that each paragraph should discuss a few different sources, and you should be able to condense the overall point of the paragraph into one sentence. This is called a topic sentence, and it usually appears at the start of the paragraph. The topic sentence signals what the whole paragraph is about. Every sentence in the paragraph should be clearly related to it. A topic sentence can be a simple summary of a paragraph's content. For an effective synthesis, you can use topic sentences to link back to the previous paragraph, highlighting a point of debate or critique. Several scholars have pointed out the flaws in this approach. While recent research has attempted to address the problem, many of these studies have methodological flaws that limit their validity. By using topic sentences, you can ensure that your paragraphs are coherent and clearly show the connections between the articles you are discussing. As you write your paragraphs, avoid quoting directly from sources. Use your own words to explain the commonalities and differences that you have found in the literature. Don't try to cover every single point from every single source. The key to synthesizing is to extract the most important and relevant information and combine it to give your reader an overall picture of the state of knowledge on your topic. Step number 4. Revise, edit, and proofread. Like any other piece of academic writing, synthesizing literature doesn't happen all in one go. It involves red dropping, revising, editing, and proofreading your work. Checklist for synthesis. Do I introduce the paragraph with a clear focused topic sentence? Do I discuss more than one source in the paragraph? Do I mention only the most relevant findings rather than describing every part of the studies? Do I discuss the similarities or differences between the sources rather than summarizing each source in turn? Do I put the findings or arguments of the sources in my own words? Is the paragraph organized around a single idea? Is the paragraph directly relevant to my research question or topic? Is there a logical transition from this paragraph to the next one? Whether you're synthesizing literature for an essay, a literature review, or any other paper, you should make sure you can answer yes to all of these questions. Synthesizing sources. When you look for area where your sources agree or disagree and try to draw broader conclusions about your topic based on what your sources say, you are engaging in a synthesis. Writing a research paper usually requires synthesizing the available sources in order to provide new insight or a different perspective into your particular topic, as opposed to simply restating what each individual source says about your research topic. Note that synthesizing is not the same as summarizing. A summary restates the information in one or more sources without providing new insight of reaching new conclusions. A synthesis draws on multiple sources to reach a broader conclusion. There are two types of synthesis: explanatory synthesis and argumentative synthesis. Explanatory synthesis seeks to bring sources together to explain a perspective and reasoning behind it. Argumentative synthesis seeks to bring sources together to make an argument. Both types of synthesis involve looking for relationships between sources and drawing conclusions. In order to successfully synthesize your sources, you might begin by grouping your sources by topic and looking for connections. For example, if you were researching the pros and cons of encouraging healthy eating in children, you would want to separate your sources to find which one agrees with each other and which one disagree. After you have a good idea of what your sources are saying, you want to construct your body paragraphs in a way that acknowledges different sources and highlights where you can draw new conclusions. As you continue synthesizing, here are few points to remember. Don't force a relationship between sources if there isn't one. Not all of your sources have to complement one another. Do your best to highlight the relationship between sources in every clear ways. Don't ignore any outliers in your research. It's important to take note of every perspective, even those that disagree with your broader conclusions. And that ends with my topic. Thank you very much for tuning in to my channel once again. This is Teacher Arnel, where learnings in English is limitless. Thank you and goodbye.